Well, an amp I've been interested in for a long time is the Champ 12-inch speaker and a single-handed 6L6 uh, power section. It's all tube and it's one of the last Fender all tube amplifiers. Now this one, there's a jack that's been broken off for the 1-volt line output. Not so important, but we'll fix that. More importantly, there's a problem with the reverb. In fact, there is none. In fact, there is reverb, but it's very weak. It does a bit of verbing because when we knock the cabinet, you can hear the spring. So the output from the spring to the rest of the circuit is okay. Just the input from the guitar doesn't get to the reverb. Maybe the input connection is faulty or something is the problem. So it should be an interesting fix. Also, it is working fine. It's got treble bass controls on the clean channel and a pull switch for the mid boost, and then it's got an overdrive channel switched with the old school foot pedal, which has volume and gain, and that's it. No tone controls. There's also a tape input and a stereo headphone output, which I haven't tested yet, but we'll just have to look inside and see what's going on with the reverb. Really quite a tight fit with the speaker. Yeah, touching, just clearing the transformer. That's the power transformer, and yeah. '80s Fender speaker. We'll have a closer look. We can pull it out now. Well, here's the inside of the amp with the reverb tank in the back, the main PCB over here, to which all of the pots are mounted, preamp tubes, and power tube is at the back next to the power section, with IC capacitors that I might replace probably, but that's not really the problem we're dealing with right now. Main problem is the reverb, and there's stuff coming out, but I don't think it's feeding in properly. So I was looking at this connection, the input, and I might just reflow that contact for starters. I'll take off the knobs. I'm really having trouble with this push-pull knob here. I don't want to break it, as is already the case for not input jack 1 but input jack 2 is broken, as well as the stereo headphone jack. Watcha. Oh. It's good that I discovered this now before I place any order for replacement jacks. Still have to get this one off. Okay. Ooh. Everything should be sliding out real smoothly, one would think. I'm gonna have to use 2 hands for this. Here's the underside of the PCB with something strange, 2 different input jacks. This one is broken, and also having a different color and casing. It's very strange. Why the second one is kaput and not the first one. So another big filter capacitor here on the top board. And now both of the auxiliary jacks for headphones and what have you are broken off. One of them is probably a stereo jack. Yep. Here's the power section again. Okay, I checked a number of things, mostly the connections with the reverb, and this is where the signal goes into the tank. Reverb 1 and 2, signal and ground, and this little piece of wire was leaning against this capacitor, and this capacitor goes to ground, but it's the other side that goes to ground, so maybe this was shorting out. It's one of the possibilities. The wretched transistor that is the only one in the circuit and might be the culprit is over here. Maybe we can see the markings. But now there's another option before we start hacking into everything, and this is the reverb trim control. Where's my screwdriver? So, and I was testing this. And it was turned completely to one side, so that might be the problem. That will be too easy. I might have to test it. It's not so easy to test a tube amp like this with the whole circuit tangling about, and in fear of shorting anything out with the bottom side of the board. These will have to be replaced, but I ordered some jacks. I have to shop at Tube Amp Doctors, but it's one of the only places which seem to have the we need a stereo and a mono jack, but mostly the mono jack. Yeah, with a very specific pattern alignment of the pins. I'm gonna desolder one of the mono jacks before I order anything, because hey, here's a stereo version with even more pins, but I'll check first before ordering anything at all. Okay, I removed the first input jack, which was still okay, but I think the only reason it was still okay because it was already a replacement part. It had this transparent cover which the other didn't have, so I suppose this is already a replacement, and I'm not gonna put in any of the standard Fender PCB mount jacks, plastic shit. It's not gonna last any long time. I'm just gonna use, where are you? Standard switchcraft types shorting jacks with some leads going into the PCB. This way, plugging into the amp won't strain the PCB, won't strain the plastic jack, and it'll be happier for a longer time. Over here where we could connect like the 1 volt line out. Is that what it is? Yeah. It's not a socket that is used as much as the inputs, so I'll move this plastic switching thing already a replacement over there. Well, here's a closer look at the stereo switching jack by Fender. That's in quite a few amps. So, well, when there's nothing plugged in, we have continuity here and here between those two lugs. Yes. But not between the others. So these are separate pairs. They're connected and they're connected. In the lower row, nothing's connected. So I suppose when we plug in a jack, it will be completely the opposite. These will be connected and these will be disconnected. I think. I don't know. Okay. Not connected?
No, nothing's connected.
Yeah, bamboo's shooting up. Well, I put in this jack and it's completely wrong because there wasn't really a solder joint here, and on the original jack there wasn't even a tap in this position because it shouldn't short out when unplugged, and even the here the ground connection should be isolated from ground. It goes to a resistor which is probably somewhere over here before it goes to ground. So in addition to that, I cannot use a simple metal jack because it would ground the sleeve to the chassis, and we have to have this resistor in between. So I'll have to undo this. As you can see, it's a different part because there's this extra tab here. We don't need this one or this one, so maybe I'll cut off both of them. Anyways, this is still a different type of part. I don't know what the part number is. Okay, let's solder. Okay, I snapped off that one tab. Still clean this pad a little more. Good enough for skiffle. Okay, once the switch is gone, the speaker is disconnected from the output transformer, and so we'll have to link up this hole with that one. This is going all the way around to the output transformer, and this connects up to the reverb tank. So I've got this little piece here. Okay, checks now. This is the check is going along this side, so this is tip, ring, and sleeve, and in unswitched position it connects to ground. The ring, that is. Setup is different here because if you look at the schematic, the the second ring connects to the tip of the first channel. It wouldn't be more clear if you look at the schematic like this. Okay, 2 new switchcraft jacks are installed. I put the other one here and tried it out, and it did not work. Almost landed in a clinical depression. Had to search for a few hours, but I mixed up two of the wires here. White one's supposed to go through the input, the blue one supposed to go to the switch. Yeah, and it's no more tomfoolery. Well, I resoldered this connection between the input side of the reverb tank and what is this? This big resistor, the like 47 ohms resistor leading into the reverb circuit. And I realized it had to be linked, these two tabs, and they weren't. I don't know why, but still, turn on the amp, had reverb on max. Also put the trim pot, I don't know where it is, I'm not gonna touch it like that. But I immediately got a squeak because I had the reverb turned all the way up. There it goes again. So I think the reverb is working. Okay, just have to turn the trim pot down now. Everybody's sleeping, can't play really loud. Meanwhile, we are multitasking because I'm baking some bread, as you can see. Yeah, once you're older than 40, let alone 50, you all gotta do what John Lennon taught us, bake some bread. All honesty, The speaker you have been hearing is this very expensive EVL speaker that I bought when I had too much money, probably. But it sounds really good. It didn't sound good on many of my other amps, but it sounded really good on this Champ. But I'll do some more updates on it. I'm probably going to replace these IC filter capacitors as well as the bypass caps and so on. But for now, I won't put it back together again to test it, because it would put a lot of stress on the connections to the tubes, which are, yeah, at least still mounted on the chassis as they used to be in the good old days. Well, that's all for now, folks.